All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about the search revolution, inspired by a really insightful piece from Alexander Rodriguez Silva. We're exploring how search went from this clunky, keyword-based game to something that, well, it almost feels like it can read your mind.
You know that exact feeling, right? You type in some jumbled, half-baked thought, and somehow the search results they just get it. It feels like a bit of magic, doesn't it? Like it understands what you meant to ask, not just the words you managed to type.
But of course, it's not magic. What we're seeing is a massive technological shift in how computers handle our questions. We've moved way beyond systems that just hunt for specific words. Now we're in a whole new era where they can actually understand the meaning behind what we're looking for.
Think of it this way. Old search was all about keyword matching. You had to be a detective, trying to guess the exact words that would be on the page you wanted. But now, we're in the age of meaning matching. You can just ask for, say, sci-fi movies about space, and the system is smart enough to know you're probably looking for something like 2001: A Space Odyssey, even if those exact words aren't in your query. This incredible leap forward was built to solve a really old, really stubborn problem in computing.
And that problem has a name: the semantic gap. This is the core reason why older search tools felt so rigid and honestly kinda dumb sometimes.
So, the semantic gap is basically this massive disconnect. On one side, you have a computer that stores a file by its name, its date, its type, technical stuff. On the other side, you have us, humans, who understand that file by its content, its context, its meaning. The computer knows a file is called recipe.pdf, but it has no clue that it's a guide for making an amazing lasagna. It's like trying to find a book about dragons in a library where the only organization system is the physical size of the books. I mean, good luck with that, right? It would be nearly impossible. And that was the challenge facing old search technology as it tried to make sense of the wild, chaotic internet. So, how did we finally build a bridge across that gap? Well, the answer is a really powerful concept called vector data. This is the breakthrough that finally teaches the library how to understand what its books are actually about.
In simple terms, vector data is a way to turn a concept, whether it's a word, a whole sentence, a picture, or even a sound, into a string of numbers, a vector. It's like translating the idea of something into a mathematical language that a computer can finally understand and work with.
And here's the really cool part. The best way to picture this is to imagine every single idea having its own unique GPS coordinate. In this huge digital space, concepts that have similar meanings are placed right next to each other, like neighbors. And totally different ideas, they live on opposite sides of the map. This is how the system finally cracks the code of ambiguity. For example, the vector for apple the fruit is plotted right next to orange. They're neighbors. But the vector for Apple the tech company, that's mapped to a totally different neighborhood, probably hanging out closer to Microsoft or Google. For the first time, the system truly gets context, all thanks to this kind of digital geography.
So how does this all happen? It's a process called embedding. You start by feeding some data, let's say a picture or a paragraph of text, into a specialized AI model. That model chews on the data, processing it through all these different layers, pulling out more and more abstract features, until poof, it spits out a vector, a string of numbers that captures the data's true meaning.
Okay, so this ability to map meaning is amazing for search, but it doesn't stop there. It's also the key ingredient for making AI itself way smarter and a whole lot more reliable. And that happens through a really powerful application called RAG.
RAG stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation, and it's a pretty brilliant way to give a large language model, an LLM, a major upgrade. What it does is combine the AI's natural talent for writing and conversation with a super fast retrieval system that can go out and grab fresh, factual, and relevant info from an outside source.
So here's how it works in 2 simple steps. First, when you ask the AI a question, the retrieval part kicks in. It uses vector search to instantly find the most relevant facts from a knowledge base. Then, in the generation step, it hands those facts to the language model and says, okay, here's the truth. Now, use this to write your answer.
And the real magic here is that RAG helps fix one of AI's biggest and most talked about problems, hallucinations.
Instead of an AI just making stuff up based on old data it was trained on, a RAG-powered model is grounded in real-time, verifiable facts. It's the difference between taking a closed-book exam and an open-book test. Obviously, you're going to get a better answer with the open-book test.
When you step back and look at all this technology working together, the takeaway is huge. The whole game is changing. It's not about trying to please some rigid algorithm anymore. It's about creating a genuinely better experience for a curious human being.
And that brings us to a really fundamental shift in thinking. The goal isn't to just game the system anymore. It's about making sure the information we create is actually discoverable, understandable, and useful to the people who are out there searching for it. What we're really witnessing here is a complete rewiring of our relationship with information itself. This tech is dissolving those frustrating walls between asking a question and getting a great answer. It's making our hunt for knowledge feel less like a chore and a lot more like a natural conversation. And all of this leads to one final, really fascinating thought to leave you with. As the friction between a question and its answer just evaporates, the barriers to knowledge itself start to crumble. So in a world where information becomes perfectly and instantly accessible, what will we choose to ask?